Hey YouTube, today I'm here to talk about the book Nod by Adrian Barnes. I picked this up quite a while ago, but it's been sitting on my shelf for a while and thought I'd finally give it a read. It's a really cool concept about basically a sudden epidemic happens where people can no longer sleep. And it happens all over the world, but our main character is in Seattle in Washington, and our main character can sleep. He's one of the 1% of the population who is still able to sleep, but his partner, his girlfriend, cannot. And it quickly evolves into a real them and us of those who can sleep and those who can't. You know, those who can't sleep quickly devolve into health problems and psychosis, because if your body doesn't sleep after 2 weeks, you devolve into psychosis, and after 6 weeks, your body can die. So we know that there's a time pressure on this problem. Nobody knows what's happened. Technology suddenly falls off the side of the earth. And I'm still not quite sure why that happened, because I don't see why not sleeping would make technology not work, but maybe I missed that. I think the concept was really cool, as somebody who struggles with sleep. I know what it's like to feel so exhausted and have a few really crappy nights sleep. And the idea of like not getting a wink night after night, I mean, how horrible would that feel? That jet lagged feeling that you've got after like 24 hours or 48 hours. And so it was really interesting. I was so excited about what was going to happen, but it didn't get executed in the way I thought it would. So the main character, Paul, is a writer, and he's written this book called Nod, and it's all about the meanings of words in the English language. And one of his acquaintances gets hold of this book and labels him a prophet, and that everything that he's written is coming true, and it becomes this whole cult thing, and he's held up as this prophet, and so he's safe, whereas most of the other sleepers are being killed because obviously people are jealous, or they think they've got an agenda, or that they've caused it, and why should they get to sleep? Apart from Paul, so he's held as this prophet, but it's a very tenuous relationship between him and this cult leader, but he has to gamble on it in order to keep his girlfriend safe. And they have found this child who also sleeps, and all the children who still sleep become mute. So he wants to keep them safe. So it devolves into, a real fight between the sleepers and hallucinations, and this problem with his cult leader, and how Paul's going to survive and keep his girlfriend safe, and etc. I think it spent too much time on that cult issues, and I wanted to be more with the main character and his personal struggles, or I almost wanted to see him and his girlfriend escaping to the woods and her devolving to the psychosis, and what he was going to do to make her better, or he was going to go to the city and find some sort of cure. He was going to find out what was going on, behind the sleeplessness, what had caused it. But that never got explained, and that never happened. Instead, it was about this cult and him being a prophet and him overcoming that. And so it didn't grab me in quite the same way I thought it was going to grab me. The writing was excellent, really, really good, and a little bit dense in places. Sometimes when I was reading late at night, it was a bit, too much for me to unpack, but gorgeous writing. So that kind of held it together for me. And maybe it was just my own personal views and my own love of fantasy and sci-fi that I wanted to kind of see it take off in a bit more of that direction, rather than the cult and the cult side of things. So, I mean, it's definitely a decent read, and if that sounds like your kind of thing and you like gorgeous writing, go for it. But for me, I think I had expectations that were different to what was a book about, so it kind of let it down a little bit for me. But those are my thoughts. So let me know what you think if you've read it in the comments.